Hello and welcome back to the Lore Raider. We all know Samus Aran to be a woman of many talents, the greatest warrior in the galaxy, the strongest of all bounty hunters, and famed exterminator of the space pirates. What most Metroid fans don't know is that Samus Aran is not only the inheritor of the will of the Chozo, she's the child of destiny, the chosen one of the galaxy, and in today's video we'll break down every prophecy Samus has ever answered, and if Samus really is the child of destiny, we'll discuss who or what are the forces pulling the strings of destiny. Without further ado, let's get into it. While Samus never openly expressed this of herself, however, even in the earliest parts of the timeline, the Chozo were well aware that Samus was a child with a special destiny. In an interaction between Mother Brain during her betrayal of the Chozo and Grey Voice, the Chozo explains that Samus's mere existence creates changes around her, new possibilities and futures not even a supercomputer like Mother Brain could calculate. Indeed, fittingly, the first prophecy Samus would ever fulfill was a Chozo prophecy. Some 50 years before the events of Prime 1, when the Chozo were still on planet Talon 4, battling the Phazon menace that was poisoning their planet, they foresaw the Prophecy of Light. The prophecy foretold that a woman of light would chase away the darkness and force it to retreat back into the infinite blackness from whence it came. The Chozo described this prophesied figure to be the entrusted one, the one they would call Savior, and as we know, Samus would indeed banish the Phazon from Talon 4. Soon after, still in the year 20XD6, Samus would fulfill yet another prophecy when she journeyed to the Alembic cluster of the Tetra Galaxy. Many millennia prior to the events of that game, Prime Hunters, and even before the great Alembic civilization was utterly wiped out by the horde known as Guria, it foretold in the Alembic prophecy that told that the power of the Alembic shall materialize in the divine spectral sequence. And as we know, Samus would once again be the one to carry out this prophecy, as she fired the color-coded panels in the oubliette to gain access to the Alembic cannon, which ultimately is how she managed to put an end to Guria. And you'd think it would stop there, but it continues. In Metroid Prime 2, the Luminoth known as Umos, the very last sentinel of his species, would pray to the heavens for salvation and for deliverance from the terror of the Ing, and, well, as we all know, that salvation would come in the arrival of Samus Aran and the destruction of Dark Aether. In Metroid Prime 3, the prophetess of the Bryonians foresaw a starborn death coming to her planet, and along with her vision came a plea for her world to be saved. And although she and the last Lord of Science didn't live to see it, the starborn death did hit Bryo in the Leviathan feed, and their final plea was answered by the one who read their message, Samus Aran. Even in Samus and Joy, the manga, the ancient and long-gone civilization that had once dwelled in the Extreme Galaxy had left behind a prophecy that the one who binds the past and the future should take heed of the power of the Animus, a power left behind by the gods. And unlike Greed, who chose the wrong answer and was overwhelmed by the power he wielded, Samus was not only able to convince the power of destruction not to destroy the universe, but she was granted the power of white holes, and along with that, the power to destroy both the past and the future. If it isn't clear by now, Samus Aran is absolutely the child of destiny, the chosen one, and it was clear to her caretakers, the Chozo, that they realized this in her from a young age. But it does beg the question, what is the true power behind Samus's extraordinary destiny? Could you tell me anything at all about the divinity of Metroid? No, I didn't think so. Truth be told, there's a limit of reliable information on the gods, and there are only two main sources of information that I think we can draw on for information on these higher powers. The first being from Metroid Prime Hunters, and the second being from the Samus and Joy manga. Starting chronologically, we know that from the Alembic prophecy, that at the beginning of time, that darkness was torn asunder by a flash of yellow lightning. This lightning struck with demonic fury upon the greenwood, which burst into an orange blaze. The orange blaze died away and became blue smoke, whose tendrils wove geometry of violet crystal. The next things we know is the gods, perhaps the so-called blue smoke who wove geometry, would create the powers. We know this directly as the Animus is called by Samus and is self-described itself as the power of destruction, and it was created by the gods with the purpose of punishing civilizations gone awry, explaining the horrible shape of the extreme galaxy and the disappearance of its ancient civilization. This story and purpose are eerily similar to Guria, another civilization-killing horror that, like the Animus, was eventually sealed away, and even Verodi, who was the story designer on Metroid Prime Hunters, described Guria as something akin to a great old one. The ruins of the Extreme Galaxy civilization also tell us what these gods demanded, and they demanded sacrifices, as the gates of judgment that sealed away the Animus required a life energy sacrifice to even open. Interestingly, it would be Samus herself that would be that sacrifice. That is what we can say with relative certainty about the gods, that this god or gods would eventually create the powers of destruction. The Animus will be made to keep an eye on civilizations, and Guria may or may not have been a power or a lesser god of some sort. These gods would demand sacrifices as well, it would seem. For some reason, the Animus would decide to destroy the Extreme Galaxy civilization, leaving behind only the galactic ruins. Millennia pass and Samus Aran is born and seemingly takes up the mantle as agent of the gods. And indeed, what do we see? Samus puts an end to the cosmic horror Guria. Samus gains the approval of and the fraction of the power of the Animus. She answers unwittingly the prayers of half a dozen civilizations. She creates new futures even Mother Brain couldn't predict, and she becomes the last Metroid, which so fittingly means ultimate warrior in Chozo. Well, that is the pure truth of the matter right from the games and the manga itself. Did you know about the gods? I am very curious to see what the comment section looks like for this video. But until then, you know I leave you. Be safe, be wise, and please pray for a true peace in space.